"Are you a surgeon?" asked De Guiche. "No, but I know a little about wounds, and mine, I know, is mortal. Try, therefore, either to carry me to some place where I may see a priest, or take the trouble to send one to me here. It is my soul that must be saved as for my body. It is lost. To die whilst doing a good deed, it is impossible. God will help you. Gentlemen, in the name of heaven," said the wounded man, collecting all his forces, as if to get up, "let us not lose time in useless words. Either help me to gain the nearest village, or swear to me on your salvation that you will send me the first monk, the first cur, the first priest you may meet. But," he added in a despairing tone, "perhaps no one will dare to come, for it is known that the Spaniards are ranging through the country, and I shall die without absolution. My God, my God! Good God, good God!" added the wounded man, in an accent of terror which made the young men shudder. "You will not allow that that would be too terrible." "Calm yourself, sir," replied De Guiche. "I swear to you, you shall receive the consolation that you ask. Only tell us where we shall find a house at which we can demand aid, and a village from which we can fetch a priest. Thank you, and God reward you. About half a mile from this, on the same road, there is an inn, and about a mile further on, after leaving the inn, you will reach the village of Greeny. There you must find the curate, or if he is not at home, go to the convent of the Augustins, which is the last house on the right, and bring me one of the brothers, monk or priest, it matters not, provided only that he has received from Holy Church the power of absolving in articulo mortis. Monsieur Dorminges," said De Guiche, "remain beside this unfortunate man, and see that he is removed as gently as possible. The Vicomte and myself will go and find a priest." "Go, sir," replied the tutor, "but in heaven's name do not expose yourself to danger. Do not fear. Besides, we are safe for to-day. You know the axiom, non bis in idem. Courage, sir," said Raoul to the wounded man. "We are going to execute your wishes." "May heaven prosper you," replied the dying man, with an accent of gratitude impossible to describe. The two young men galloped off in the direction mentioned, and in 10 minutes reached the inn. Raoul, without dismounting, called to the host and announced that a wounded man was about to be brought to his house, and begged him in the meantime to prepare everything needful. He desired him also, should he know in the neighbourhood any doctor or chirurgeon, to fetch him, taking on himself the payment of the messenger. The host, who saw two young noblemen, richly clad, promised everything they required, and our two cavaliers, after seeing that preparations for the reception were actually begun, started off again and proceeded rapidly toward Greeny. They had gone rather more than a league, and had begun to descry the first houses of the village, the red tiled roofs of which stood out from the green trees which surrounded them, when, coming toward them mounted on a mule, they perceived a poor monk, whose large hat and grey worsted dress made them take him for an Augustine brother. Chance for once seemed to favour them in sending what they were so assiduously seeking. He was a man about 22 or 23 years old, but who appeared much older from ascetic exercises. His complexion was pale, not of that deadly pallor which is a kind of neutral beauty, but of a bilious, yellow hue. His colourless hair was short, and scarcely extended beyond the circle formed by the hat around his head, and his light blue eyes seemed destitute of any expression. "Sir," began Raoul, with his usual politeness, "are you an ecclesiastic?" "Why do you ask me that?" replied the stranger, with a coolness which was barely civil. "Because we want to know," said De Guiche, haughtily. The stranger touched his mule with his heel and continued his way. In a second De Guiche had sprung before him and barred his passage. "Answer, sir," exclaimed he. "You have been asked politely. and every question is worth an answer. I suppose I am free to say or not to say who I am to two strangers who take a fancy to ask me." It was with difficulty that De Guiche restrained the intense desire he had of breaking the monk's bones. "In the first place," he said, making an effort to control himself, "we are not people who may be treated anyhow, nor was it from caprice we asked the question, for there is a wounded and dying man who demands the succour of the Church. If you be a priest, I conjure you in the name of humanity to follow me to aid this man; if you be not, it is a different matter, and I warn you in the name of courtesy, of which you appear profoundly ignorant, that I shall chastise you for your insolence." The pale face of the monk became so livid, and his smile so strange, that Raoul, whose eyes were still fixed upon him, felt as if this smile had struck to his heart like an insult. "He is some Spanish or Flemish spy," said he, putting his hand to his pistol. A glance, threatening and transient as lightning, replied to Raoul. "Well, sir," said De Guiche, "are you going to reply?" "I am a priest," said the young man. "Then, father," said Raoul, forcing himself to convey a respect by speech that did not come from his heart, "if you are a priest you have an opportunity, as my friend has told you, of exercising your vocation. At the next inn you will find a wounded man, now being attended by our servants, who has asked the assistance of a minister of God." "I will go," said the monk, and he touched his mule. "If you do not go, sir," said De Guiche, "remember that we have two steeds able to catch your mule, and the power of having you seized wherever you may be, and then I swear your trial will be summary; one can always find a tree and a cord." The monk's eye again flashed, but that was all; he merely repeated his phrase, "I will go," and he went.